This is Val Schober with EDL 856 Case Study, A New Role for the Parents Organization. A new PTA was formed in the spring, which had no affiliation with the national PTA. They wanted to function as an independent organization. As the principal, I have always felt that the PTA has been important in supporting the school program. They had been a positive force in education. I could count on them for their support, and I knew that they were important for our school. The PTA discussed in the spring parent participation and community involvement. The PTA then had a meeting with the principal in his office. The PTA had discussed the traditional back to school night and wanted to make some changes. The PTA felt the previous back to school nights had confused parents rather than help them and educate them more. This year, parents really wanted to find out what's going on in the classroom, so the PTA wanted to enforce that. They wanted to sponsor a series of back-to-school meetings where the teachers would be responsible for making individual presentations in the evenings, and this would coincide with multiple evenings. And then they still wanted them to do their parent-teacher conferences as well. The PTA also wanted to be more involved in decision in the policy-making processes in the school, and they felt that the parents should be equal partners with the school in deciding on what's best for the children. They then established new committees, and these included a discipline committee, a teacher performance committee, curriculum, and total school evaluation committee. The principal wondered why he was not informed about these committees. As the principal, I didn't feel like the PTA should be involved in school decision-making or development of instruction or curricular policies, but I still think that they do have an important role in the school. As the principal, I am responsible and held accountable for anything that goes wrong in the school, so I have to be very careful of my decision-making. So at this point, we need to look at how does the principal or myself respond without upsetting the PTA and continuing to collaborate with parents and the PTA. So looking at legal and ethical issues with this case study, legal issues include FERPA and protecting student rights because the PTA is wanting to collect data from the students and about the students. We have to look at the negotiated agreement with staff and teachers. What does that say? What does that include as contract days? What does the contract or the negotiated agreement say about after hours? And what time do those after hours start? I know a lot of contracts and negotiated agreements are different in how they pay or how they reimburse staff for working after hours. Then you have to look at the NEA. What are teachers' rights? When you're looking at teacher evaluations, you have to be real careful of what their rights are and what the legal policies are around teacher evaluations. We need to look at the Board of Education and school policies, and we need to look at confidentiality with teachers and students. When parents are coming in to observe teachers and students, that's kind of overriding confidentiality and protecting records. Then you look at some of the ethical issues. Is it ethical for the PTA to have control of the school and decision making? Is it ethical for the PTA to make school policies? So then you look at the lack of collaboration between the PTA and the principal if these things were to occur. Then you also have decreased school and community engagement, decreased relationship building, and at this point it might show that the the principal does not support them in letting parents making decisions that directly involve the teacher, such as teachers' evaluations. So to synthesize what has happened, I believe that the school and community relationship and partnership has been broken. The PTA wants more control of the decision-making and policy-making within the school program. So looking at the facts and the people that are involved, you have the PTA and the parents. You have principals, students, teachers, superintendent, the Board of Education, and the community all involved in this case. Some of the other facts: the place, the school, although we don't know what type of school, if it's an elementary school, high school. We don't really know the demographics as far as where it's located or how big it is, but we do know that there's a principal office and a possible location where PTA meetings are being held. Programs involved could include back to school night, school-wide programs, anything in the school, curriculum and discipline programs within the school. So to review and to prioritize, you have to look at the stakeholders and the community members. We do need stakeholders and community members, and more than likely these are PTO members. We need a relationship and to collaborate to expand student learning and achievement and overall student progress. So that is some of the effect on the stakeholders and community. Who has stake on this outcome? Well, we can look at students, teachers, parents, staff, administration, community, and stakeholders. What do I need to know? I do feel like there's a lot of information that I need to know before making a decision. I need to know why the new PTA was formed. Was there a lack of communication or some sort of breakdown of communication with the previous PTA? Obviously, there was no two-way communication between the previous PTA and the principal. So you're really looking at there has to have been some sort of lack of communication or something that happened there. Why did the old PTA dissolve? I think we need to look at some of the history there. What happened? Was there a situation that happened that the principal was not aware of? Why does the PTA want to function as an independent organization and not as the national organization? I think that's also important. Why does the PTA feel that they need to be involved in the decision and policy-making processes of the school? Did something happen that makes them want to be more involved? Then you have to look at what I need to look at, like the Board of Education and school policies on parent organizations. I need to look, was there a school representative on the PTA? Did somebody attend those meetings? Was a superintendent consulted? And overall, do I feel like I know enough about the situation? No, I feel like there is a lot of information that I need to know. So looking at some options, of course, do nothing, let the PTA do what they want, dissolve the PTA, or collaborate with the PTA. So do nothing. I really honestly did not feel like there were very many pros with this. So I kind of just put that there would be no decision and there would be no changes made. The cons would be that you could stop communication with the PTA, you can have no back to school night, may not get any more PTA involvement or support if you do nothing, and the student activities might suffer since the PTA does a lot for the school and does a lot for the students to promote student achievement and overall involvement in the school. I mean, those things might suffer. You can let the PTA do what they want. The pros, that the PTA and the parent involvement will increase, which is one of the things that they talked about in one of the meetings. They do want parent involvement to increase. And maybe more community involvement. But on the other hand, you have the cons, which would be legal ramification, and you could possibly have decreased community involvement. This could set up a lot of disagreements between parents. You could also have very frustrated and unhappy teachers, parents, and students. So I just see there's a lot of cons there. You can dissolve the PTA. Pros, this would meet any legal guidelines that you're questioning with letting the PTA do what they want to do. The PTA would not have a say in the decision and policy making, which as the principal, I do not feel like they have that say in that right. I think that their input is very important, but as far as to make decisions, I don't think that that's ethically correct. And the principal may not be accountable or is not accountable if things go wrong. So the principal won't have anything to worry about because things won't go wrong because there won't be a PTA. Some of the cons would be the school does need the PTA and parent involvement. I mean, that is just huge and crucial in a school to make a school successful. You want more stakeholders and community partners may pull away from the school if they looked at the school dissolving this thing. And you kind of then at that point also shut down two-way communication. The other option is to collaborate with the PTA. And so I see a lot of pros here. You will build relationships, you'll collaborate with diverse partners and community members, you will have overall school improvement, you'll have increased student development, you will support school improvement, and then increased resources. Bringing the PTA and collaborating with them, you have a lot more resources because you're utilizing your community, your parents, and stakeholders in the community. So it increases resources at the school. The cons might be that some of the PTA might pull away. You may lose some of the PTA support, and changes may occur. Sometimes when you collaborate and do new things, changes do occur. And sometimes that is a con because some teachers, some students, some staff, some parents don't like change. I think the best option is to collaborate with the PTA for numerous reasons. Or as a principal, I want to increase communication with PTA and parents as much as I possibly can. I think that effective and communication is important. I think it's important to engage and cultivate these relationships, build these relationships. And in overall, this will increase student achievement, increase student development, and you will just build respect with parents knowing that you want to collaborate with them. So in implementing my decision, I want to first of all, I want to discuss the situation with the superintendent. I think it's very important that as a principal, I don't do things alone, that I have support from my administration so that they know what's going on and we can look at decisions and some choices together. I would like to get to know the PTA members. That would be important, whether it's having group meetings just to get to know each other or getting to know each one of them. Learn a little bit about them, learn about that background. That also helps cultivate relationships. Find out the whys. Why do they want these changes? What happened to want them to create these changes? I want to let the PTA know the legal and ethical issues. Maybe they aren't informed and want to know those things. You know, do they want another parent looking at their student records? Kind of put some scenarios out there for them. I think it's important then to brainstorm options with the PTA members. I think that promotes the collaboration among the stakeholders and community members, because PTA members are definitely stakeholders within your school, and they talk. So, you know, if they're brainstorming options, they're going to go out into the community and talk about what they're brainstorming and what they're doing. They're going to talk about the positive and negative, so you want to get the positive out there as much as you can. And then you want to work together. I think that's really important, is working together with the PTA and showing that you want to be a team member with them. And that lets parents know that you want what's best for the students' academic success and for their personal well-being. You want what's best for the students. You want them to, succeed. You want them to succeed in school. You want them to succeed outside of school. And then I think we need to make sure that there is a school representative on the PTA, or at least somebody that attends the PTA meetings, just to show that school and community collaboration. And then, of course, what's important is open communication, making sure that myself as the principal, I have open communication with all parents, with the PTA, and with the community. So thank you for listening and have a wonderful day.